Gress.
Questo è inglese. Ok, vado su francese.
Water I brought up. Should I put a can there in case any of the speakers want to?
Ladies and gentlemen, signore, signore, I would like to ask you if you could please move on into the plenary hall. As you can see, His Holiness Pope Leo XIV has already entered the building and will soon be joining us. If you could please come in slowly and take your seats as indicated. You may follow the entrance of His Holiness Pope Leo XIV as you are inside the plenary. Thank you very much. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if I may ask you to please come on into the plenary and take your seats. His Holiness Pope Leo XIV has already entered FAO, will be joining us today for this 80th anniversary and World Food Day Ceremony 2025, marking the 80 years, 8 decades of FAO's work in the service of others. Thank you for being seated. Today's ceremony, you will have official interpretation in the 6 official languages, including Italian. You'll know how to use, those of you who have been in the plenary, you know how to use your interpretation headsets, and we'd like to take this moment to thank all of the interpreters who will be with us and who have been with us for the entire week of the World Food Forum. Thank you for the great work that you do so that each and every one of us can understand and hear each other and continue the dialogue. We will have official presentations, but I am here with my colleague Richard Trenchard, who is the FAO representative in Afghanistan. Thank you, Richard, for being here with us today. Once again, this is also webcast on the FAO channels as well as the UN Web TV, and we'd like to thank the national television as well as Vatican News and all of our media colleagues who are here to cover this event. Thank you very much. Grazie mille per essere con noi. Thank you again, colleagues. Please do have a seat as we are soon going to be starting our ceremony.
This is incredible.
That's cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I ask you to kindly take this moment to turn your cellular devices off for once. Let us, or on silent, not off. I want you to connect to people and share, but I'd like you to put them on silence if you can for this ceremony. Once again, I'd like to thank you all for being here on this 2025 World Food Day ceremony, official ceremony, and marking the 80 years of FAO, born today on October 16th, 8 decades ago. 8 decades of determination, will, and desire to create a world free from hunger and malnutrition. Thank you all for carrying that forward and continuing to do the work that you do in that direction. If you could all be seated in order to allow this ceremony to start, we will allow the visitors and guests to sit down before we start. Thank you again. Interpretation is in all 6 languages, including Italian. For those of you following us online, our first line of guests and keynote speakers are entering, and we will allow them to sit down before we proceed with the ceremony. Welcome to all our special guests, keynote speakers, to this year's 2025 World Food Day ceremony, marking the 80 years of FAO. Thank you very much. And thank you to all the excellencies entering for being with us here today. Once again, thank you for being here. Please know that interpretation is available for those who were here before. You've already heard me say it, but I'll say it one more time because it's important that everybody be able to follow this ceremony. A quite important 8 decades of FAO, this World Food Day with the theme Hand in Hand for Better Foods and a Better Future. It is not only in the 6 languages plus Italian, but you will also see on your screens, wherever you are following or in the plenary, we have sign as well for those who need to. And we thank you for being here. We'll just let the last few cameras go. And as I see here, I would like everybody, if you would all please rise for His Holiness Pope Leo XIV. His Holiness, Your Majesties, Excellencies, distinguished guests, friends, colleagues, and all of you following us online, live on platforms, thank you and welcome to this 2025 momentous World Food Day, marking 80 years of FAO's existence, and also under the theme of Hand in Hand for a Better Foods and Better Future. I'm Yasmina Bouzian. I am the Director of Communication at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO. You will hear it as FAO in the future. And I'm very pleased to be joined by my two esteemed moderators for the rest of the day. Richard Trenchard, who is the FAO representative in Afghanistan, and Monique Coleman, who is a global actress, first ever youth champion and new FAO champion. Thank you for being here with us.
And together, we are honored. And together, we're honored to guide you through today's very special ceremony to mark FAO's 80th anniversary. 8 decades of working together, and I quote from the preamble of FAO's constitution, to promote the common welfare by furthering separate and collective action. 80 years of learning together, sharing together, and turning knowledge and expertise into action and results.
And today, as we come together hand in hand, we know that the strongest solutions emerge when we unite across borders, generations, and communities. The power of collaboration drives real change.
This is so true. We've seen this in the last 8 decades of the work that Richard has brought up as well. And we've seen this in this last week, where we have all come together in the World Food Forum under a number of different umbrellas to really do what we are meant to do, which is to have one common goal: to end hunger and malnutrition, and in today's world, to offer better foods for a better future. Every action that we take matters, and every person that we take this action for matters. It is critical. Thank you. We'll take a moment to share with you these beautiful images from around the world on what it is and why we are all gathered here today.
What is food?
Food is life.
Food is memory, roots, land,
and the knowledge of our ancestors.
the wisdom passed down with every harvest.
Food is innovation.
Food is caring.
It's connections. It's culture.
It's the way we nurture each other.
Food is a right,
not a privilege.
Everyone deserves safe, nutritious food.
Food is our future on the plate.
80 years ago, the world set out to end hunger and malnutrition.
80 years ago, the world made a promise to grow, share, feed communities, and live better through food.
But today, hunger persists in spite of the best efforts of farmers,
women and men, youth,
indigenous peoples,
who work with courage and care.
This World Food Day, let's walk forward.
Hand in hand.
Honoring traditions.
Cultivating new ideas.
Engaging in innovation.
Feeding communities.
Transforming how we grow.
Nurturing and harvesting a better future.
To leave no one behind.
Every action, big or small, brings us closer to a better life.
We each have a role to play.
When we join together across borders, cultures, and generations,
we are part of the solution.
The future of food
belongs to all of us.
Hand in hand for better foods
and a better future for
everyone.
Thank you. And with that, it is my very great pleasure to invite our inspirational Director General, Dr. Chu Dongyu, to deliver his 2025 World Food Day address. Director General, please.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning from Rome. Dear colleagues and friends, it is great honor and a privilege to welcome you to FAO headquarters today in the heart of Rome, the entire city, as we celebrate World Food Day and FAO 80th birthday. Congratulations to all of you. Happy birthday to FAO. I'm so deeply honored to welcome the esteemed world leaders who have joined us today in person in Rome, in FAO headquarters. His Holiness Papa Leo XIV, Her Excellency Prime Minister of Italy, Her Excellency Deputy Prime Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Collaboration of Italy, His Majesty King of Lesotho, Goodwill Ambassador of FAO, Her Majesty Queen of Spain, also Goodwill Ambassador of FAO, Her Royal Highness the Princess of Jordan, also Goodwill Ambassador of FAO, Her Excellency President Oriental Republic of Uruguay, His Excellency Prime Minister of Kingdom of Eswatini, Her Excellency First Lady of Federative Republic of Brazil, His Excellency Ban Ki-moon, former Secretary General of the United Nations, Minister of Agriculture and Rural Affairs, Special Envoy of President Xi of China, to all of you here in Rome and connected virtually from around the globe, 热烈欢迎 ，Welcome, Bienvenue, Benvenidos, Alam Salaam, Dobra Bos Halavet, Benvenudit. Your presence here today is a true reflection that hunger knows no borders, and that the challenge of food security demands unity among the nations, among the people. The world leaders and the people everywhere must come together, united by our collective belief, and that the right to food is a basic human right, and that peace is a prerequisite for food security. I'm particularly humbled to welcome His Royal Holiness Papa Leo XIV to FAO headquarters, first time forever, and the UN family since he enrolled in his holy position. Let's give the applause to the Holy Father. Your holidays, your presence on this World Food Day, especially 80th anniversary of FAO birthday, it's a great honor remind us that the fight against hunger is not only about food. It is about the dignity and our shared humanity. Your guidance encourages us to put humankind at the center of everything we do. We heed your call for a more just society, where the poor and the most vulnerable are not discarded or ignored, but are the focus of our combined efforts. Your call inspires us to be better together, strengthened by our collective compassion. This conviction further strengthens our dedication to pursue FAO's noble mandate for a world free from hunger and malnutrition. Just originally said by President Roosevelt, free from want, as laid down by our founding members in our Constitution. At the FAO, for over 80 decades, we have recognized that food security cannot be achieved without prioritizing human dignity. We have worked tirelessly knowing that only by ensuring sufficient nutritious food for the hungry and malnourished can we overcome global inequalities and poverty. Food does not only feed the body, it feeds the soul. It restores dignity. It shows a better life and a better future for all. This is the FAO foundational aspiration of four betters for a holistic and integrated vision that leave no one behind. Better production to make certain that farmers are equipped to produce more with less. Better nutrition to ensure access for all families to safe, healthy, nutritious, and affordable foods. A better environment to safeguard our land, water, and the ecosystem for future generations to come. And a better life to make sure that all people, especially the most vulnerable, can live in stability with dignity and opportunity. They are the pathway towards the global transformation we need so that the next generations inherit a world where no one goes to bed hungry. Your Holiness has emphasized that the poverty is multifaceted and encompasses material, social, cultural, and spiritual dimensions. At the FAO, we recognize that hunger is both a cause and consequence of multi-dimensional poverty, and that needed to be tackled through a comprehensive cross-sectors and a multilateral approach that build on past lessons while concretely adopting forward-looking solutions. The transformation of global agriculture to be more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient, and more sustainable is the only viable way to address the economic, human, social, and environmental facets of the poverty and hunger. Today, we commemorate a historical moment. FAO was born from hunger, from the war, from the devastation. Our founders shared a simple vision. Working together, we can defeat hunger. Today, we remain steadfast in our conviction that we are better together. We must leverage FAO legacy to leave a world free from hunger for our children and grandchildren. Progress since 1945 has been immense, from 80% previously down to the 8% in 1945 to 2024. Yet, hunger remains a reality for millions of people. We know that the world produces enough food for everyone. Yet, food availability, accessibility, and affordability are not equally for all. For 8 decades, FAO stood with the community of the nations, and together we have achieved so much. We successfully eradicated the deadly cattle disease, rinderpest, thereby helping to restore millions of livelihoods. The Codex Alimentarius was established, set the international standard to ensure the safe food for all. And in times of crisis, recently, we acted together when the desert locusts hit East Africa in 2019. $231 million were mobilized, which saved $1.7 billion in crop and secured food for more than 40 million people. Avoid cheap overlapping crises, because afterwards the pandemic comes. I really appreciate all the members' support, partners. I should mention the European Union and the World Bank and Russia, China, you name it. So United States and Canada, I remember they contribute there, 231 million for locusts. We just acted 1 year earlier. Otherwise, the disaster, real disaster. This success are the results of working together. It is the proof of the power of multilateralism at the best. History teaches us, however, that progress is fragile. Climate shocks, pestilence and disease, economic downturns, and devastating effects of the protracted conflict, respect no borders, destroy years of advancement, and show that no country can or should face this crisis alone. Around the world, more than 1 billion people work in the agri-food systems that feed us. Our legacy cannot be built without empowering those who produce our food and those who will inherit the system. We must continue to focus on the women's empowerment, secure land rights for women, providing them with access to credit and technology, recognizing their central role in food production and nutrition. His Holiness reminds us of the intrinsic importance of women's dignity and rights, particularly in face of poverty and exclusion. Today is about looking forward to the future. The youth are already shaping. We must make agriculture attractive to youth, facilitate their access to land, financing, and digital tools. We must equip them to not just participate, but to lead. We must give them the pen for themselves to read their own chapter. We couldn't have them write chapter for themselves. They should by themselves. We need to recognize that the indigenous peoples are essential partners for a sustainable future. Their role is not just about providing food for their own communities. It's about safeguarding the very fundamental issues, resources for our global agri-food system. By supporting them, we are not only upholding the human rights, we are investing in food security for all the humanity. And we must strengthen and support smallholder farmers by providing them with tools they need to gain bargaining power, reduce post-harvest losses, and access larger markets. Smallholders produce most of the food we eat, yet they are almost always left to sit on the margin of society. We must ensure that women, youth, indigenous people, and smallholder farmers are the heroes of our legacy. Your Holiness, Your Majesties, Excellencies, ladies, gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends, to mark today's historical moment and event, we are officially opening the door to the Food and Culture Museum and Network here at the FAO headquarters. Thanks to the host country and the leadership of the President Mattarella, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, we are together, the walk, the talk. The museum is a dynamic education platform and a global network that brings together agri-food system and heritage, tradition, knowledge, science, innovation, all this together to access to any corner of the world. The museum and network amplifies FAO mission using the universal language of the art and the culture. It will inform, involve, and inspire people to act. On this World Food Day, let us honor our common humanity by thinking together, learning together, and contributing together. Sharing and collaborating is our common language, with mutual respect, understanding for a better, more food secure future for all on this small planet. On this World Food Day, let us reaffirm our commitment to our shared mission until its accomplishment. Let the end of hunger be our common legacy. Human legacy. There is a Chinese proverb which says, 常理时，天下安. It means when the granaries are full, the world is at peace. Your Holiness call us to invention a civilization of love, where the poor are not just the object of the charity, but central in shaping a better society. This call for the policies that promote justice and equity, and for the personal conversion as the cornerstone of the transformation. Today, let us heed that call, a call that transcends borders and beliefs. Let us be better together. Let us honor 80 years of progress by securing the next 80 years of food, dignity, and hope for all people everywhere, leaving no one behind. I thank you. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you, Director General, for your words. Through his moral leadership and compassion, His Holiness Pope Leo XIV has inspired so many people of all faiths across the world. It is with an extreme honor and pleasure that I would like to introduce His Holiness Pope Leo XIV. Please join me in welcoming warmly His Holiness for his address.
Señor Director
General, distinguished authorities, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, at the outset, may I express my heartfelt gratitude for this invitation to share this memorable day with all of you. I come to this prestigious headquarters following the example of my predecessors on the throne of St. Peter, who held FAO in special esteem and proximity, aware of the important mandate of this international organization. I greet all those present with great respect and deference, and through you, as servant of the gospel, I express to all the people of the world my fervent wish that peace should reign everywhere. The Pope's heart, which belongs not to him but to the Church, and, in a way therefore, to all humankind, keeps alive the hope that, if hunger is defeated, peace will be the fertile ground from which the common good of all nations will arise. 80 years after the foundation of FAO, our conscience should once again feel the scourge ever present of hunger and malnutrition. Ending these evils is not just a matter for business people, officials, or politicians. It is a matter for us all to resolve, whether international organizations, governments, public bodies, NGOs, academia, and civil society. Indeed, we should not forget that this is a matter for each individual who sees in another's suffering a part of themselves. The hungry are no strangers. They are our brothers who must be helped without any delay. The goal which unites us today is both noble and pressing, mobilizing all possible energy in a spirit of solidarity so that nobody anywhere in the world lacks the food they need, whether in quantity or quality. Such an approach will put an end to the denial of human dignity which undermines proper development, unfairly forcing multitudes to abandon their homes and hampering understanding amongst peoples. Since its foundation, FAO has labored tirelessly to make the development of agriculture and food security priority goals of international policy. Therefore, with 5 years ahead before the completion of Agenda 2030, we must insistently remind ourselves that achieving zero hunger will be possible only if there is real will to do so, not mere solemn declarations. This is why we are called upon with renewed haste to answer a fundamental question. Where do we stand in our efforts to counter the scourge of hunger, which still so dreadfully afflicts so much of humanity? It is necessary and exceedingly sad to recall that despite technological and scientific progress and increased production, 637 million people in the world go to bed hungry. A further 2,300,000,000 cannot afford nutritious food. These are figures which we cannot view as mere statistics. Behind each of these numbers lies a vulnerable community, a life cut short, a mother who cannot feed her children. Perhaps the most distressing figure is the number of malnourished children suffering disease and delay in their motor and cognitive growth as a result. And this is no chance happening. It is a clear sign of prevailing insensitivity, of a soulless economy, a questionable development model, and an unjust and unsustainable system for the distribution of resources. We live in an age where science has increased longevity, technology has bridged continents, and knowledge has opened up unimagined horizons. Therefore, allowing millions of human beings to live in and die from hunger is a collective failure, an ethical wrong-turning, and an historic fault. Present-day conflicts have once again prompted the use of food as a weapon of war, which contradicts all the awareness-raising work conducted by FAO over 8 decades. With each passing day, the consensus seems to fade amongst states that deliberate starvation is a war crime, as is the intentional prevention of access to food for communities or entire peoples. International humanitarian law, without exception, prohibits attacks on civilians and the goods essential for survival. A few years ago, the United Nations Security Council unanimously condemned this practice, acknowledging the link between armed conflict and food security, and stigmatizing the infliction of hunger on civilians as a method of war. But this seems to have been forgotten, since tragically we are witness to the continued use of this cruel strategy, which forces men, women, and children into hunger and denies them their most basic right, the right to life. However, the silence of those dying of hunger pricks the conscience of us all, though it is often ignored, passed over in silence, or misrepresented. We cannot continue in this way, since hunger is not man's destiny, but man's perdition. Let us therefore strengthen our resolve to eliminate this scandal. And let us not imagine that hunger is just a problem to be solved. It is more. It is a cry to heaven, which needs a rapid response from each nation and each international organization, each regional, local, and private entity. Nobody can stand aside from the determined fight against hunger. This battle belongs to us all. Excellencies, today we face an appalling paradox. How can we continue to allow huge quantities of food to be wasted while millions rifle through garbage in search of a few crumbs? How can we explain away the inequalities which give everything to a handful of people and leave so many with nothing? Why is there no immediate end to wars which destroy our fields and our cities too, entailing scenes unworthy of the human condition, where people's lives, and especially the lives of children, instead of being cherished, vanish into nothing when they venture out in search of something to eat, all skin and bone? As one contemplates the contemporary world, pained and devastated by the conflicts which afflict it, one feels that we have become impotent bystanders in the face of appalling violence, when in fact these humanitarian tragedies are known to us all and should urge us all to strive for peace, armed with the healing balm needed by the open wounds in the heart of humankind. This bloodshed should immediately catch our attention and prompt us to face our individual and collective responsibility and shake us from this fateful lethargy into which all too often we have sunk. The world cannot stand back from this terrible spectacle of suffering afflicting so many regions of this planet. This must be stopped once and for all. The time has come, therefore, to ask ourselves with courage and lucidity whether future generations deserve a world unable to eradicate hunger and misery for good. How is it impossible to stop so much terrible suffering which reflects so negatively on our human family? Can our political and social authorities still be polarized and continue to waste time and resources on pointless, angry discussions, while those whose needs they should be attending to are confined to oblivion or exploited for partisan interests? We cannot simply proclaim values. We must embody them. Slogans do not prevent misery. We must move beyond an outworn policy paradigm and impose an ethical vision which overcomes pragmatism and places people before profit. It is not enough to call for solidarity. We must truly guarantee food security and access to resources and sustainable rural development. It therefore seems to me most appropriate that this year's World Food Day is being celebrated under the heading Hand in Hand for Better Foods and a Better Future. At this moment in history of profound divisions and contradictions, feeling united by working together is not only an appealing ideal, but also a decisive call to action. It is not enough to cover our walls with big, colourful posters. The time has come to enter into a renewed commitment with a positive impact on those whose bellies are empty and who hope that our concrete action will pull them out of their distress. This goal can only be achieved by pooling effective policies and by coordinated implementation and synergy of action. The appeal to walk side by side in fraternal concord must become the guiding principle of our policies and investments, since only in sincere and constant cooperation will we achieve fair food security accessible to one and all. Only by joining our hands will we build a future of dignity in which food security is felt as a right and not as a privilege. Through this conviction, I wish to underline that in the struggle against hunger and the promotion of integral development, the role of women is indispensable, although this is not always sufficiently understood. Women are at the forefront of the search for missing bread, sowing hope in the furrows of the soil, and building a future with hands marked by their effort. In each corner of the world, women are the silent architects of survival, the methodical custodians of creation. Acknowledging and valuing their role is not just a question of justice, but also a guarantee of food which is more humane and more sustainable. Excellencies, aware as I am of the reach of this international forum, I wish unambiguously to underline the importance of multilateralism in the face of current temptations of an autocratic tendency in a multipolar and ever more interconnected world. More than ever, therefore, we must be bold in the means we use for international cooperation. It is not simply a matter of identifying strategies or making exhaustive diagnoses. What the poorest countries hold most dear is that their voice should be heard unfiltered, that their needs should be recognized. These countries hope for the opportunity to be included when it comes to solving their real problems, instead of imposing solutions upon them from distant offices, drafted in meetings dominated by ideologies which often ignore ancestral cultures, religious traditions, and customs deeply rooted in the wisdom of elders. It is vital to build a vision in which each player on the international stage can respond more effectively and more promptly to the genuine needs of those whom we are called upon to serve through our commitment day by day.
Today, we can no longer delude ourselves by thinking that the consequences of our failures impact only those who are hidden out of sight. The hungry faces of so many who still suffer challenge us and invite us to re-examine our lifestyles, our priorities, and our overall way of living in today's world. For this very reason, I want to bring to the attention of this international forum the multitudes who lack access to drinking water, food, essential medical care, decent housing, basic education, and dignified work, so that we can share in the pain of those who are nourished by despair, tears, and misery alone. How can we fail to remember all of those who are condemned to death and hardship in Ukraine, Gaza, Haiti, Afghanistan, Mali, the Central African Republic, Yemen, and South Sudan, to name just a few places on the planet where poverty has become the daily bread of so many of our brothers and sisters. The international community cannot look the other way. We must make their suffering our own. We cannot aspire to a more just social life if we are not willing to rid ourselves of the apathy that justifies hunger as if it were background music which we've grown accustomed to, an unsolvable problem, or simply someone else's responsibility. We cannot demand action from others if we ourselves fail to honor our own commitments. By our omission, we become complicit in the promotion of injustice. We cannot hope for a better world, a bright and peaceful future, if we are not willing to share what we ourselves have received. Only then can we affirm with truth and courage that no one has been left behind. I invoke upon all of you gathered here today, the FAO and its officials, who strive daily to fulfill their responsibilities with virtue and to lead by example, the blessings of God, who cares for the poor, the hungry, and the helpless. May God renew in each of us that hope which does not disappoint. The challenges that lie before us are immense, but so is our potential and the possible courses of action. Hunger has many names and weighs upon the entire human family. Every human person hungers not only for bread, but also for everything that allows for maturity and growth towards the happiness for which all have been created. There is a hunger for faith, hope, and love that must be channeled into the comprehensive response that we are called to carry out together. What Jesus said to his disciples when facing a hungry crowd remains a key and pressing challenge for the international community. Give them something to eat. With the small contribution of the disciples, Jesus performed a great miracle. Do not tire then of asking God today for the courage and the energy to continue to work toward a justice that will yield lasting and beneficial results. As you continue your efforts, you will always be able to count on the solidarity, engagement, the commitment of the Holy See, and the institutions of the Catholic Church that stand ready to go out and serve the poorest and the most disadvantaged throughout the world. Thank you very much.
We thank His Holiness for those wonderful words. Inspired by the steadfast commitment of His Holiness to peace and a world free of hunger, it is incumbent on each and every one of us, nations and communities and individuals, to make sure that no one goes hungry in a world of plenty. I would like to thank all of the esteemed delegates and all of you. You are all excellencies. Thank you. I'd like to thank you very much for being here. All of the ministers, you've come from around the world to be here with us today. Ministers of agriculture from Italy, from China, from around the world. I met this morning from Angola. I met Jordan as well. Everybody from all parts of the world. Thank you for being here, for having listened to this wonderful keynote speech by His Holiness. It is quite moving, tough to follow. But I know that we're all here to be able to do the work that is requested of us. Richard, you said one thing to me behind scene. You said...
The hope that does not disappoint.
The hope that does not disappear. Monique, your words as well. I heard you in the back saying, so tough.
I was so deeply inspired. And one of the things that Richard actually said is that something that's so impactful about FAO is that it's not just focusing on the issues, but really bringing hopeful solutions. And that's a really beautiful perspective and something we really need right now.
Let us give His Holiness a round of applause. I'm sure he will hear it again.
And we will have a short interlude while the Director General accompanies His Holiness Pope Leo XIV. And we ask that all other guests please just remain here with us.
You won't be alone because we're actually going through a couple of things with you. Dick, please.
Look, it's such a privilege to be here with you and to mark FAO's 80th anniversary. Over the years, I've worked in many, many countries for FAO, including several as FAO representative, country director. I've seen with my own eyes, I've felt with my own heart how access to food is about so much more than just nourishment, however important that is. Access to food is also about dignity. It's also about peace. It's also about stability. And I've seen how deeply food security and peace, how closely they're intertwined. Our shared efforts to strengthen agri-food systems and protect livelihoods matter so much today.
Absolutely, Richard. You know, High School Musical taught me that we are all in this together. And as the first ever United Nations Youth Champion 15 years ago, I learned how advocacy and the partnerships that we build, including those beyond traditional systems, can drive real and lasting change. And so today, as I join you on this World Food Day, I especially want to shine a bright light on the food and nutrition needs of young people and women farmers all around the world.
So one thing is that when I started my career, I started as a filmmaker and a photographer. And then I spent 2 decades with the United Nations around the world, be it in peacekeeping or peace building. And one of the things that really spoke to me is that you have to, and we all have to hear what is needed from the people who are on the ground and in all of the places where we work. So I think one of the best things to do is to go now on this journey together through videos and the voices of those people who are on the ground, resilient, doing implementing what it is that all of us in these rooms are talking about, what you were talking about, Richard. So we are off on a small tour. We will be stopping by His Majesty's homeland of Lesotho. We'll also be going to Sao Tome and Principe. We'll be going to the 8th UN Secretary General's home as well, the Republic of Korea, Ecuador, and Turkey. So please stay with us. We'll stop in the between this journey, but we'll be here with you.
Arılarda şunu fark ettim. Onların sesleri insanın tarafı.
The sound of bees is therapeutic to me. Once I realized that, I could not walk away. I turned it into my profession, and I'm truly happy with the choice I made. My name is Zuleyha Seylan. I'm 22 years old. I'm a professional beekeeper. One of the most valuable pieces of advice FAO gave me had to do with how I should sell my products. I felt unsure about this. They taught me where and how to promote my work, what kind of social media posts to make. I have also learned how to properly maintain bee colonies. All of this knowledge has already made a difference to me. I have been in this business for 5 years, but the FAO training I received helped me create a clear roadmap.
Ama yanlış yaptığımız kısımları.
These training efforts helped us clearly identify where we were going wrong. By correcting those mistakes and working in a more detailed, careful fashion, I plan to increase my capacity and produce higher quality, more sustainable products. I want to expand my farm. One day, I hope to have a family that earns its living through beekeeping. In order to achieve that, I plan to offer excellent products to people. Farming is important for young people because it allows us to create our own jobs, earn an income to support and feed our families. I was inspired to start farming potatoes so as to be able to feed myself and my family and to earn an income. The biggest challenge I experienced was that I did not have the money to buy potato seeds. However, FAO helped me by providing potato seeds and fertilizer.
For a number of years, researched, and through that research, we realized that there is a product that we can grow in Lesotho that can contribute to agricultural growth and agricultural transformation, and that product is the potato.
My name is Matsbitsawane Deholo. I'm a Mosotho mother of 7 children and a potato farmer. For the past 15 years, I have supported my family's livelihoods through farming. I also run a catering business, selling food to my community. I use my potatoes to prepare meals for my customers. My dream is to see a bigger harvest in the future so that I can sell more produce and earn an income and sustainably feed my family with my produce. My harvest is plentiful. There is so much more now that it fills my house, and I'm running out of space. I now have a steady supply of potatoes to prepare for customers in my food catering business.
It's a blue bag.
Thank you. We feel the wisdom of your words, Your Majesty King Letse, as you teach us how potato farming has transformed rural livelihoods across Lesotho, particularly for women farmers. We also saw that in Turkey, beekeeping is helping young women to develop sustainable businesses for today, but also for their tomorrows. Let us now learn more about how FAO's globally important agricultural heritage systems programs is helping communities to protect their heritage and build resilient agri-food systems across the world. Thank you.
For me, cocoa is my country's gold. It is a major source of income and livelihoods for my family, for my community.
My name is
Camila de Carvalho. I'm 32 years old and I live in Praia das Conchas farm in São Tomé and Príncipe. I have been growing cocoa for over 7 years now. Cost of living is high. I wish I had a better income so that I could provide everything that my children need. Since I joined the cooperative, my life has changed. I learned how to use a tablet, new techniques for weighing and drying cocoa, and my production has increased. Last year, we took part in the Euro Chocolate Fair in Italy. It was fantastic. We took our chocolate, people bought it, they ate it, they liked it a lot. I dream one day of making my own chocolate to show that women can lead every step of the cocoa value chain, from soils to the final product. My mother has always taught us about farming, how to sow seeds, how to work with crops. Without farming, we would not have much food. We set aside the maize right after the harvest. We choose the good, clean seeds. We store them. When the sowing season starts, we use these healthy seeds.
The Quechua indigenous peoples have cultivated a unique farming tradition in the Andes of Ecuador. Fine-tuned by the ancestral knowledge of generations and the careful use of native seeds, this system, known as chakra farming, produces an abundance of food, despite the harsh conditions at altitudes between 2,500 and 3,400 meters above sea level. At the heart of this tradition are the women, guardians of the land and keepers of this living legacy.
The agriculture is not an easy task. You have to understand the cycle of life of the planet, of the plants and of the animals in order to create agri-food systems that are resilient. The way women are doing it and the way FAO is recognizing this important role of women is something truly amazing.
In 2023, FAO designated the Andean Chakra, an ancestral agricultural system of the Quechua communities of Cotacachi, as a globally important agricultural heritage system, recognizing its importance for food security and its contribution to agro-biodiversity conservation through traditional knowledge, sustainability, and resilience.
Here, women are always the ones with the ideas, the initiative. We have to keep it that way. When I have my own family, I have to sow as my mother did, the same way she taught me. This will always stay with me. Just like mothers who always give and share. I feel like I receive endless, unconditional love from the ocean. That's why I think of it as my second mother.
On a single breath, women from the Republic of Korea's Jeju Island dive into the sea to depths of 20 meters, harvesting shellfish, sea urchins and algae. Known as haenyo, or women of the sea, they've passed down this ancient skill for over 1,000 years. Now, the future of this sustainable fishing practice is uncertain.
제가 지금 물질을 한 지 만 12년이 됐.
I have been diving for 12 years now. When I first began, the ocean was abundant.
너무나 바다가 많이 달라져 있어서 그때 제가 처음 시작할 때만 해도 해산물이
with seafood. Abundant with seafood and everything felt plentiful. I've been working as a haenyo for 56 years. The hardest thing now is that the ocean is becoming increasingly devastated.
In 2023, the Jeju Haenyo fisheries system was recognized as a globally important agricultural heritage system by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations for its role in preserving and protecting the marine biodiversity. The fishing grounds of Jeju Island are in fact better preserved than other sea areas, due in part to mandatory restrictions on fishing. The haenyo have volunteered their own, even stricter rules.
제주도 같은 경우는 좀 특이한.
Jeju is a unique case. To me, haenyo are women, and women are haenyo, and that is a source of tremendous pride.
Wow. Incredible, right? These are beautiful stories of farmers, fishers, and communities finding sustainable ways to cultivate, process, and share food. And we're all reminded that food is deeply connected to community, tradition, and innovation, that partnerships across countries and generations drive progress.
That is so true, Monique. And in order to be able to deliver this progress and the effects on the ground, we need visibility.
Yes.
And visibility and support. And that's why the work that we do in terms of advocacy and forging these really meaningful partnerships is really critical.
Absolutely.
FAO Goodwill ambassadors, champions, food heroes, they all play a really important role. We have some of them with us here today, of course. And Monique, you've just joined as an FAO champion.
I did.
How do you feel?
I'm very excited.
And what does it mean to you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, honestly, it means so much. Having the opportunity as someone coming from the entertainment industry, just to speak to what you said about visibility, I don't believe that there's a reason to have a platform if we don't use it to allow other people to stand on it and to do something good. So I am so proud to be an FAO champion. And I myself come from a family of smallholder farmers. And I believe that no matter the size of your platform, every single one of us has a role to play in using our voices to bring attention to urgent needs, to say what needs to be said, and inspire people to take action. So why don't we just take a moment to celebrate the work of FAO's Goodwill ambassadors, champions, and food heroes, and see the difference that they are making.
Thank you, Monique. We'll take 2 minutes, and of course, you will hear from our very own Goodwill ambassadors who are royalty here with us today.
Yay.
Thank you very much.
FAO Goodwill ambassadors and champions use their influence to advocate for FAO.
today, in addition to wonderful Monique, we are joined by a number of FAO Goodwill ambassadors, champions, food heroes, as well as artists with whom we've collaborated on some really exciting projects, including the new FAO Food and Agriculture Museum and Network. Please join me in welcoming them and thanking them for their dedication and incredible work. Thank you.
You have, of course, seen in our slideshow, but we would like to acknowledge Queen Letizia, who is right in front of me, His Majesty King Letzi III of Lesotho, and Her Royal Highness Princess of Georgia. Thank you very much for being one of our first key FAO Goodwill ambassadors and being here all of the time, every time we have this event. You are always, as the Director General has said many time and time again, you are standing steadfast by us. Thank you very much, and by the work that all of you do here at FAO. We'd like to welcome back the Director General. Thank you very much, and we will move on to our next segment now.
We also send online greetings to Thailand, where the Princess is also online joining us today, having just celebrated World Food Day in Bangkok. That's Princess Mahachakri Sirindorn. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you all, and thank you, Monique. Your incredible support and really valuable contributions do so much for advocacy, do so much to raise awareness, and do so much also for action. Thank you.
Well, and thank you, Richard. I'm brand new here, but you have been here for over 25 years, and that is incredible. Yeah.
So the thing that works best is seeing what we are doing. And I want to take 2 minutes for all of you who have not necessarily been able to follow the first 4 days of the World Food Forum, where we had the From Seeds to Food. And we brought products and innovation and science, and experts from around the world came to share that with the Italian population, with each other, because FAO is a place where everyone meets and shares the knowledge through museum, through the work that we do. We'll take 2 minutes, no, less than 2 minutes, sorry, 30 seconds, to see what these 4 days were like. And we'd like to thank, of course, our host country, because there was a beautiful kickoff with the Italian Carabinieri parachute jump. You will see that on the image, and then we will proceed to thank officially and formally our host country. Please.
From seeds to the food is more than a title. It represents the full story of agribusiness, from first seeds planted 1,000 years ago to the latest innovations in crops, livestock, forestry, fishery, and aquaculture that will nourish generations to come.
This installation, we are showcasing an example of protected cultivation.
What is the Seed Vault, you might ask? Well, Seed Vault is where humanity is saving seeds for future generations.
as you will have seen, living in a place and sharing with the community in the place is absolutely critical. This is one of the things that we like to do, is to give back, and also to be able to educate and to go forward with the next generation.
And for those of you like me who have known this building and its grounds, FAO headquarters, for so many years, you will no doubt have seen careful and impressive transformations over the past year. For this transformation, we give our thanks and our deep, deep gratitude to our wonderful host, Italy, our host since 1951. Thank you.
As some of you may not have had the opportunity to walk around the grounds and see the transformation, stay with us 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes. I keep saying 2 minutes, but less than 2 minutes to see in rapid motion what has transformed. Renovation and transformation take their various forms, and it is from outside but also from within. I'd like to show you also that we have had 43 different rooms that have been renovated by many of you members here with us today. It has also made that we are more agile as FAO on the ground. They have been upgraded to the state-of-the-art technology, and we are able to deliver on the ground what we are meant to do in the service of others. Dick, you actually benefit from these rooms while you are in Afghanistan. What is the kind of work that comes out of this?
Yeah, I think I've been working in country offices and leading teams, including the incredible team in Afghanistan, who I know are all watching online this morning. And the biggest single change I've seen is this shift towards a truly one FAO global operation. And these rooms, they're very different, but they serve a single common purpose, and that is to bring FAO's people, its expertise, its knowledge from across the world together. And we, whatever the situation, we are working not just as a country team, not just as a regional team, but also as a global team. And these rooms are the hub for us. Only 2 weeks ago, the internet, telephones were cut off across the country. But the first thing that we do as part of our resilience framework is come together with headquarters, regional and country teams in these rooms where the technology, the state-of-the-art technology, allows us to make real-time decision-making happen.
Thank you, Richard. And from here, we're going to transit to the fact that we will hopefully be able to show all of the people who come to visit FAO, the work that's done on the ground from the museum. Monique, you have seen the museum, parts of the museum, but I think we'll share a few minutes, a few seconds, I'm going to say, of the video of what to expect of the museum. The Director General this morning had inaugurated it and unveiled it with the President of the Republic, Sergio Mattarella, and many of you are going to see it later today. This is what learning and sharing is about, and we'd like to thank our host country, Italy, for being able to make this happen.
For 80 years and counting, FAO has been working to build a food-secure world.
On the 16th of October 2025, FAO's 80th anniversary and World Food Day, a new chapter begins. The Food and Agriculture Museum and Network brings FAO's mission closer to you. Through art, knowledge, and educational experiences, cultural diplomacy engages a global audience and shows how we all shape the future of food. For nearly 3 years, hundreds of days, and countless hours, creativity has filled FAO headquarters, bringing the leading vision of this special initiative to life. Art directors, designers, writers, and digital specialists worked with passion and dedication alongside engineers, architects, security, IT, and logistics experts, together with librarians, photographers, and videographers, to craft a unique space for sharing knowledge, traditions, and innovation from FAO members, offices, and experts around the world. Then, artists, artisans, and skilled hands have helped to shape the soul of this project. FAO Mune is a new kind of journey, a space that educates, inspires, and drives action for food. Made possible with the support of the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation and a wide network of partners, FAO Mune is a living space where ideas spark action. Explore, learn, act.
This museum has been a true vision of our Director General, and it's wonderful that this morning it was inaugurated with the President of the Republic of Italy. We also have a video message to mark the 80th World Food Day from the President of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Xi Jinping, which will be delivered by the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Affairs of China, His Excellency Mr. Han Zhong, who I believe is here today to deliver the message on behalf of the President. Thank you very much.
Distinguished Director General Chu Dongyu, dear colleagues, dear guests, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On the occasion of the 80th anniversary of FAO, President Xi Jinping of the People's Republic of China has sent a special congratulatory letter. On behalf of the Chinese government, I have the honor to read out President Xi's message. On the occasion of the 80th anniversary of FAO, I would like to extend my sincere congratulations. FAO is the leader in the field of food and agriculture. FAO shoulders the important responsibility of ensuring global food security and to promote the development of rural areas, as well as facilitating the transformation of the agri-food system. It is an important organization in the world. The Chinese government attaches great importance to food security. We strive to resolve our own food problems to feed the billions of people in China and to extend our support to the countries in need to ensure global food security and we contribute China's support. China, like before, we will continue to support FAO in the global food and agriculture arena. Together with the international community, we will continue to facilitate the Global Development Initiative and to achieve the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda. We build a community with a shared future for mankind. To support our people and to field further support, the Chinese President, President Xi, made the above remarks today on the 16th of October. Ladies and gentlemen, in his message, President Xi Jinping highly commended FAO's remarkable achievements over the past 80 years. He called for strengthened global food and agriculture governance and for ensuring world food security. His words reflect China's firm resolve and sense of responsibility in advancing a community with a shared future for mankind. China will faithfully carry forward the spirit of President Xi's message, fully implementing the Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative, the Global Civilization Initiative, and the Global Governance Initiative. Together with FAO and other partners, we will strive tirelessly for a world free from hunger. 80 years ago, FAO was established in response to a war-torn world and the urgent need to eliminate hunger. Over the past 80 years, FAO has remained dedicated to addressing global food challenges, building consensus, and mobilizing resources, fostering cooperation, making significant contributions to global food security, and improved livelihoods worldwide. Dr. Chu Dongyu, since taking the office of Director General, has led FAO with bold reforms and innovative actions, guided by the strategic vision of better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life. FAO has also put forth initiatives such as One Country, One Product and 1,000 digital villages, thereby accelerating the transformation of global agri-food systems. Dr. Chu's leadership in tackling food crises and reducing hunger and malnutrition has earned broad recognition. On behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs of China, I'd like to express our sincere appreciation to Director General Chu and all FAO staff for their dedication and service. China, as the world's largest developing country and a responsible major state, China has always been a steadfast supporter and an active participant in global food and agricultural development. We have prioritized food security as the foremost task of state governance, thoroughly implementing the national food security strategy of prioritizing domestic production, ensuring production capacity, maintaining appropriate imports, and leveraging scientific and technological support. In 2024, China's grain output surpassed 700 million tons for the first time, with per capita availability reaching 500 kilograms. Our self-sufficiency rate for cereals exceeds 95%, and for wheat and rice, it stands at 100%. Basically, we have achieved self-sufficiency, and with just 9% of the world's arable land and 6% of its freshwater resources, China feeds over 1.4 billion people, firmly holding our rice bowls in our own hands. At the same time, we are making an extraordinary contribution to global food security. Guided by a people-centered philosophy, China has made historic progress in poverty alleviation. Since reform and opening up, over 800 million people have been lifted out of poverty, accounting for more than 70% of global poverty reduction. Since the 18th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, we have mobilized the entire nation to implement targeted poverty alleviation. In 2020, we won the battle against poverty and built a moderately prosperous society in all respects, achieving the poverty reduction goals in the UN 2030 Agenda 10 years ahead of schedule. Over the past century, under the leadership of the Communist Party of China, our nation has journeyed from liberation to securing adequate food and clothing, from basic to moderate prosperity, and from overcoming poverty to advancing modernization with Chinese characteristics. China's development has made significant contributions to global poverty reduction. We have also courageously shouldered our international responsibilities in pursuit of shared global goals. China has contributed $130 million to establish the FAO China South-South Cooperation Trust Fund, promoting international exchange and cooperation in agriculture technology. Under the FAO South-South Cooperation Framework, China is the largest contributor of financial assistance, experts, and projects. Hybrid rice from China has been introduced to nearly 70 countries across 5 continents, while the Juncao technologies have taken root in over 100 countries. These efforts have helped many developing nations enhance agricultural productivity, providing strong support for the shared goal of a world free from hunger and malnutrition. We actively participate in and promote the strengthening of global food and agricultural governance. As a founding member of FAO, China has consistently upheld genuine multilateralism, safeguarded FAO's central role in global food and agriculture governance, fulfilled its international obligations, contributed public goods, and promoted the establishment of fair and equitable agriculture trade rules. Furthermore, we've supported the GS initiative and worked with all members to build a more just, rational, and effective global governance system for food and agriculture. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, ensuring food security remains an enduring challenge for all nations. Amid today's complex global landscape, extreme weather events and geopolitical tensions pose severe threats to global food security. Achieving the zero hunger goal under the UN 2030 Agenda requires stronger consensus and collective actions from the international community. Allow me to share 3 points for your consideration. First, we should enhance communication and deepen practical cooperation. We need to strengthen multilateral and bilateral exchanges at the government level, focusing on agricultural production, technological innovation, and smallholder development to contribute to global food security. China stands ready to deepen mutually beneficial agricultural cooperation, enhance policy coordination and technology sharing, and promote trade to build resilient and sustainable food supply chains. We also hope to strengthen cooperation on poverty reduction, sharing China's successful experiences to help more developing countries find pathways suited to their national realities. Together, we will advance the global poverty reduction process and contribute to building a community with a shared future for mankind, free from poverty, and characterized by common development. Second, we should increase investment in diversity cooperation mechanisms. Eliminating hunger and malnutrition requires substantial financial and technological inputs. The international community should step up investment in agri-food systems and accelerate the dissemination of advanced technologies and equipment to countries of the global south. We hope that developed countries will honor their commitments by providing greater financial and technological support, while developing countries contribute according to their capacities. Third, we should leverage platforms to improve global food and agriculture governance. We support FAO in playing an even greater role in international food and agricultural governance and advancing reform of the global governance system. This includes enhancing the representation and voice of developing countries, strengthening the effectiveness of existing mechanisms, and coordinating efforts to place food security at the heart of the global agenda. Together, we can write a new chapter in global food and agriculture governance and raise food security to new heights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Han, for delivering the wise and strong message of congratulations from President Xi. Now, it is my very, very great pleasure to invite His Excellency Antonio Tajani, Deputy Prime Minister of Italy and Minister of Foreign Affairs, to the podium. Your Excellency. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Majesty, Majestad, General Director, it's an honor for us to host in Italy, in Rome, this very important institution. But we need to transform our honor in concrete actions, because we need to fight for achieving good results. The message of the Pope has been very, very clear. We need to do more. Hay que hacer más, mucho más. Il faut faire beaucoup plus. Per noi,
for us, as Italians, combating hunger must increasingly be our priority. We must shed light on those parts of the world where we, wealthy countries, despite our problems and challenges, can and must do so much. Food waste, the horrors of colonialism and climate change. There are so many different reasons that do not allow millions of people to live as they should, as they have the right to, because this is a natural-born right that is handed down by God for those who believe in nature, for those who do not. The right to food, the right to life. That is why we cannot, at this time of wars, we cannot fail to do everything possible to alleviate the suffering of the people. There are hundreds of thousands of women and people who suffer from hunger. There have been and will continue to be, if we do not intervene rapidly, people who die of hunger. That is why the doors of Rafah must be opened, that hundreds of trucks be let in, and Italy will do its part, having already sent in over 2,500 tons of foodstuffs to the people of Gaza. In these years, we stand ready to send another 100 tons in the coming days.
Sarà per noi la più grande operazione.
This, for us, will be the biggest humanitarian operation. We will also stand ready to greet sick children who are the victims of food insufficiency. We will be ready to welcome them to our country as we have done to date. In the coming days, we will let in more sick children. This is our duty, and I'm proud to say that Italy is one of the world's countries, along with many other Muslim countries, to have let in the biggest number of children and their families and refugees from Gaza. And we wish to heal them in our best hospitals.
E sono lieto.
Also, I'm pleased to announce that Ambassador Arki, Special Envoy for the Reconstruction of Gaza, was nominated with a focus on humanitarian affairs. The Italian government is ready to do its part. Of course, as Pope Leo XIV was saying, statements are important. However, we must turn them into concrete action, into daily political choices, not just on days of celebration as we commemorate the 80th anniversary of FAO. And this is an organization we wish to continue to fight for so that we can support all of its endeavors across the world. With FAO, we will continue to do so. We have been working with the World Food Programme for years to alleviate the suffering of Gaza's people. Let's also work to alleviate the suffering of the people of Ukraine who have been bearing the brunt of an unfair war for many years. We do not want more people to suffer from hunger there as a result of the war. That is why we have a draft resolution for the UN General Assembly for an Olympic truce, as Italy will be hosting the Winter Olympics in Milan and Cortina next year. It would be very important for us to have the support of all your countries. It is a tradition to have this ceasefire, but it's important that we do so differently this time. Every day, we shed light on the war in the Middle East, the war in Ukraine, and also spotlight a dramatic reality that we do not often discuss. We must talk about this too, the war in Sudan. Thousands of people have died. There are hundreds of refugees, women and children. There too are dying of hunger. We cannot fail to firmly shed light on what's happening there too. We must do this with determination there and other parts of the world. In the East, not just in Africa, there are indigenous peoples who are starving, also in Latin America, at the heart of the continent. That is why we as the Italian government have sought to make Africa a strategic priority. We have given life to the Mattei Plan and the entire policy of the Italian government, starting with its commitment in the G7 in Europe and NATO, seeks to ensure that the African continent, which has a wealth of resources, can stop suffering from poverty in many other countries, as has emerged from the images we've seen, where there is a risk of starvation, as well as the risk of dying from diseases. That is why we truly believe that we must support, as Italy does, the Gavi project for the production of vaccinations in Africa, so as to prolong the life of children who must not die at the age of 1, 2, or 3. We must do much more than this. Hunger, malnutrition, and disease still kill too many people across the world. We wish to do our utmost so that our know-how, also through our collaboration with FAO, might be used. We want to turn our solemn statements, as the Pope was saying, into concrete action, into commitments that wealthy countries such as ours, again, with the many problems we face, all the actions we must undertake. We have advanced technology in the space sector. Through satellites, we can do so much to help the agriculture sector on the African continent. Our endeavors in this sector are avant-garde. We can produce more with fewer resources in an environmentally friendly fashion. I'm also thinking of applying technologies that can help better face the increasingly frequent climate crises, namely drought-resistant plants. This would allow Africa's people to continue to have farmland. With these technologies, the agriculture sector can control all these different operations from sowing to harvesting with fewer pesticides and with less water. Turning to water, let's make our know-how available for more efficient water management, for agricultural production, for technological development in the agri-food sector. Water is an essential food for life. It is essential for health and for the well-being of people. We waste too much water. Even in our countries, we waste too much water. In the world, some 2 billion people still do not have access to drinking water. Water is an extraordinary driver of peace in Africa and the Middle East. That is why we will be proud to host in Rome in October next year the first Euro-Mediterranean Forum on Water. Not only that, next year we'll also be hosting the foreign ministers of the Union for the Mediterranean Summit on water. This is another issue we must address if we wish to combat hunger in the world. Majesty, Majesty, heads of state and government, ladies and gentlemen, together we can look beyond our political differences and our different organizations. There are priorities that stretch far beyond our differences, our different mindsets and cultures. Safeguarding life is a commitment that we must all undertake. Seeing children the same age as my grandchildren die is extremely difficult. It's very painful. Mothers who cannot see their children and grandchildren grow up. We must feel this in our hearts, not just in our heads. The will to work together, the will and willingness to work together above and beyond geopolitical strategic decisions. Above all, we are women and men. This goes beyond our individual roles, and we must always safeguard human life. That must be a priority for each and every one of us as a minister, as an Italian citizen, and as a man. That is the appeal I wish to put out there. I guarantee my commitment, that of my ministry, and that of the country as a whole, so that we can save more and more human lives in the world as we combat hunger. Thank you all very much, and happy anniversary, FAO.
Grazie. Grazie, Sua Eccellenza.
Thank you, Excellency.
Bismillah.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for those very powerful words and for our steps forward to take. With that, I would like to introduce somebody whom you already know very well, who does a great deal for his own country and who is the FAO Goodwill Ambassador, Special Ambassador for Nutrition, His Majesty King Letsi III of Lesotho.
Your Majesty.
Your Excellencies, heads of state and heads of government, Your Majesty, Queen Letizia of Spain, Your Royal Highness, Your Excellency Dr. Xu Dongyu, FAO Director General, Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as always, it is a great privilege and honor to address you today as we commemorate the World Food Day and celebrate the 80th anniversary of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. This occasion invites us to reflect on 8 decades of progress in the fight against hunger, malnutrition, and poverty, and to renew our collective commitment to a world where every person, everywhere, enjoys a healthy diet. I am honored to continue the long-standing collaboration with FAO and, in particular, to reaffirm the strong partnership with the Director General, whose visionary leadership has consistently championed nutrition as a cornerstone of sustainable development. The newly released State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World of 2025 delivers a sobering message. While modest progress has been made in reducing global hunger, thanks to our collective efforts, 673 million people still face hunger, representing 8.2% of the world's population. At the same time, 2.6 billion people, nearly 1 in 3 globally, cannot afford a healthy diet. The situation is most critical in low-income countries, where 2 out of every 3 people cannot afford a healthy diet. Across all regions, the double burden of malnutrition persists. Undernutrition and micronutrient deficiencies exist alongside rising rates of overweight, obesity, and diet-related non-communicable diseases. Ladies and gentlemen, in Africa, the picture remains dire and demands urgent, accelerated action. In 2024,
the prevalence of undernourishment surpassed 20%, meaning more than 1 in 5 Africans, approximately 307 million people, are chronically hungry. That same year, 2/3 of Africa's population could not afford a healthy diet, more than double the global average. The number of people unable to afford such a diet rose to over 1 billion, an increase of 71.2 million since 2022. Africa fell short on achieving the Malabo targets of 2025, particularly the goal of ending hunger and all forms of malnutrition. As the continent transitions to the post-Malabo era, renewed focus is needed to accelerate progress towards the 2030 Global Nutrition and Sustainable Development Goals. Without decisive action, Africa risks remaining off track to meet these commitments. While child stunting has modestly declined in some areas, rates remain above 30% in many countries. Anemia affects more than 35% of women of reproductive age. Meanwhile, overweight and obesity are rising rapidly, especially in urban areas, fueling a surge in diet-related illnesses such as diabetes and hypertension. Like His Holiness, I also say that these figures are not just statistics. They represent lives, families, and futures. Hunger today is not caused by global food scarcity, but by conflict, climate shocks, economic inequality, and fragile food systems. Hunger is therefore not inevitable. It requires concerted effort and total commitment from all stakeholders to address the root causes. At the same time, we must remember that food and nutrition are not necessarily the same things. Many people eat food of some kind that removes the feeling of hunger and yet still be malnourished because they are not getting the vitamins, minerals, and nutrition they need to be healthy. Good nutrition is a non-negotiable requirement for each of us in this room, especially for children who need it to build strong brains and immune systems. That is why we must take every opportunity to ensure people have access to healthy diets and nutrition services at every phase of their lives. This year's World Food Day theme, Hand in Hand for Better Food and a better future challenges us to reimagine and transform our agri-food systems to deliver sufficient, safe, and nutritious food for all, produced sustainably and equitably. It is a call to action, urging governments, financial institutions, businesses, civil society, and communities to commit to collective efforts backed by sufficient investment. Good nutrition is the foundation for education, productivity, economic growth, and human dignity. As FAO Special Ambassador for Nutrition, I carry a personal responsibility to advocate for inclusive, nutrition-sensitive policies. This role involves amplifying the voice of those most affected by malnutrition and ensuring that global commitments are upheld and translate into tangible improvements in people's lives. No country is immune to malnutrition, and no nation can achieve the SDGs without addressing it. However, the challenges vary by region, shaped by local, economic, environmental, and social realities. Africa has shown leadership in its efforts to contain malnutrition. The African Union's Africa Leaders for Nutrition Initiative, the Abidjan Declaration, and the Karab Malabo and Kampala Declarations have placed nutrition firmly on the development agenda. The Karab nutrition targets commit us to reducing stunting to 10% or less, eliminating child wasting, halving anemia in women, and halting the rise in overweight. The recently adopted Kampala Karab strategy reinforces this vision, placing nutrition at the heart of inclusive, resilient, and sustainable food systems. I commend FAO's strong support in developing this strategy and ensuring that nutrition is integrated and tracked across all levels. Recent global and regional platforms, such as the UN Food Systems Summit and the African Union's Nutrition for Growth dialogues, have reaffirmed the urgency of coordinated action and acknowledged Africa's leadership in nutrition-sensitive development. In Lesotho, we have aligned our national strategies with FAO's vision. Our efforts to integrate nutrition into agricultural planning, strengthen school feeding programs, and promote climate-resilient crops demonstrate our commitment to ensuring that all segments of society are part of the solution. However, political commitments must be matched by investment. At global and regional levels, we must increase and better target financing for nutrition. Mobilizing domestic resources, international funding, and private sector engagement is essential. Well-structured public-private partnerships can align commercial incentives with public health goals, generating sustainable solutions that make healthy diets affordable and accessible. In this regard, the FAO-led Hand-in-Hand Investment Forum remains a crucial platform for prioritizing nutrition-sensitive investments and making healthy diets a viable business opportunity. We must also invest in innovation, research, data, and evidence generation to strengthen the capacity of stakeholders, inform national policies, and design locally tailored solutions. Innovation, in particular, is a central driving force that will transform agri-food systems and ensure access to healthy, nutritious diets for millions across the continent. I'm pleased to note that FAO is leading efforts to support African countries in embracing innovation and research as tools for transforming agri-food systems to deliver better nutrition for all. Supporting smallholder farmers, especially women, to grow diverse, nutrient-rich crops, promoting traditional foods, and developing value chains that connect producers to consumers are critical. Women and youth must be empowered as key actors in this transformation. Removing the barriers they face is essential to unlocking their potential in food production, access, and consumption. Nutrition-sensitive social protection systems must also be strengthened to ensure that vulnerable populations, especially children, pregnant and lactating women, have reliable access to nutritious food, essential services, and livelihoods opportunities. These investments build human capital, break the cycle of poverty and malnutrition, and are vital for inclusive, resilient societies. As FAO celebrates 80 years of service, its strategic framework, better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life, offers a powerful global call to action. Our task now is to accelerate implementation and ensure that no one is left behind, whether in a remote rural village or the heart of a megacity. World Food Day is more than a commemoration. It is a call to action. Let us honor this day by renewing our commitment. Governments, civil society, the private sector, academia, and international organizations to work hand in hand to transform our agri-food systems and make healthy diets a reality for all. As we look to the future, I pledge to continue working alongside FAO, member states, and all stakeholders to build a world where every child grows up nourished, every farmer thrives, and every community flourishes. This is not just a vision. It is a moral imperative. If we succeed, we will not only improve lives today, but we will secure a healthier, more resilient, and more equitable future for generations to come. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Your Majesty. Our next speaker has been an FAO Special Goodwill Ambassador for Nutrition since 2015. She demonstrates an unwavering commitment to food and nutrition security and advocating for sustainable agri-food systems. It is now my distinct true honor to welcome Her Majesty, Queen Letizia of Spain.
How is your patience? Good morning, buongiorno, buenos días. Director General.
Good morning, good afternoon. Director General of FAO, heads of state, authorities, ministers, special greetings to all of FAO's staff as we celebrate FAO's anniversary. We'll be hearing this many times over the course of this morning, and it has been said already today. We are here to celebrate, but also to renew our commitments. It would be fitting to begin by thanking all those who for 80 years now have ensured that FAO continue to be a technical authority and preserve its political legitimacy, and that its founding values continue to serve as our essential guiding light. It might seem easy, but it's difficult to achieve. That we must keep doing our utmost to improve the lives of the 700 million people who have no food at all. That's still true. And some 3 billion people who cannot afford a healthy diet. The figures vary. We face complex times where those principles that we believed were unshakable when the UN system was founded, principles such as multilateralism, as we've heard, development cooperation, the link between financing and social justice, or the belief that food is an inalienable human right. Of course, food must be adequate, sufficient, sustainable, and healthy. And of course, we must reduce to the extent possible the consumption of ultra-processed foods as recommended by the WHO. I hope you will forgive me if I go through some of the reasons behind the despair expressed by FAO and other UN agencies. First, hunger remains a weapon of war in some parts of the world and is still an open wound. Second, some sectors of civil society report corporate concentration within some food systems. Third, we know this off by heart, food waste. 1/3 of food ends up in the garbage. Fourth, droughts, floods, desertification, extreme weather events caused by climate change that most affect those who have the least, the most vulnerable, and, as if by chance, always end up suffering the most. Fourth or fifth, those who are the backbone of family farming, of childcare, of the management of household diets, women, ladies and gentlemen, continue to face inequalities in access to resources, credit, education, and technology. And sixth, 6 reasons for despair and hopelessness: protracted wars, geopolitical tensions, forced migration, price volatility, and biodiversity loss. That growing number, especially among young people with overweight and obesity. With this snapshot before us, I will circle back to where I began. We must hold steady and reconnect with hope, remembering what's been achieved in the last 80 years, remembering that FAO still boasts a highly qualified, extraordinary, expert body in many countries where it works on the ground. Spain is very committed to working with FAO. We work to achieve sustainable food systems, to strengthen the work of parliamentarians in Latin America. We also build, as I would say, more sustainable food systems. We're also working in conflict-affected affected areas where necessary, making available specialists and technical know-how. I'd like to conclude by quoting the King of Spain, mentioning what he stated at the most recent UN General Assembly. The dignity of the human being is not negotiable. That dignity can only be upheld if we place the rights of individuals at the core of food policies. Now, please, if anyone can think of a better way forward than working through multilateral cooperation to ensure that people have adequate food, please come up here and tell us what that might be. In the meantime, we will have to keep working with the utmost goodwill with a view to cooperating with, supporting, caring for, and striving to help those who struggle most. His Holiness the Pope said it just now. Let's look to other people's suffering as our own. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Majesty, for those very inspiring words for generations and young girls and boys for the future. Thank you so much. It is also a great pleasure for me to now introduce Her Royal Highness Princess Basma bint Ali of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, who has been a very distinguished goodwill ambassador with us, protecting and looking towards sustainable solutions for food security and climate challenges around the globe, and particularly in her region. Samul Maleki, tfaddali.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, Director General, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to extend my sincerest gratitude to the FAO for inviting me to be part of this very important celebration of 80 years working towards food security for all. It is truly an honor and great pleasure to be amongst you, most especially with the highly esteemed guests. Today, we gather not just as participants in the World Food Forum, but members of a global current, a current that dares to imagine a future where hunger becomes a thing of the past, where food systems are equitable, resilient, and sustainable, where science and innovation are pragmatic solutions, and where women, youth, indigenous peoples, and local communities become an integral part of the governance system. We stand at a defining moment in human history. Never before have we, or rather our food systems, faced such complex, interwoven challenges. Climate change continues to threaten harvests, not as a distant risk, but as a daily reality. Rising temperatures are disrupting planting seasons. Unpredictable rainfall and prolonged droughts are leaving once fertile fields dry and unproductive, as I can attest from my region. While in other regions, floods and storms now arrive with greater force, frequency, wiping out entire crops overnight. For millions of smallholder farmers who actually feed the majority of the world's population, these shifts are not just environmental, they are existential. Their harvests are their hope and their livelihoods. So as the climate grows more unstable, hunger spreads across borders, exasperating the situation, not only in their communities, but across the global supply chain. placing greater pressure on governments to alleviate the situation. Furthermore, around the world, conflict is tearing apart food systems from the ground up. Wars and regional instability are displacing millions, as we have heard, not only from their homes, but from their farmland, their markets, and their communities. In areas under siege or occupation, as His Holiness mentioned, food becomes a weapon, stripped from being a basic right. It becomes a tool of control. Nowhere is this more painfully visible than in Gaza, where families are facing catastrophic levels of food insecurity. Birthplaces have been destroyed, farmland has been decimated, access to clean water and humanitarian corridors remain fragile and severely restricted, including food deliveries. And hunger is used to weaken the will of an entire population. For countless families, the struggle is no longer about nutrition. It is about sheer survival, of which one too many children have paid the ultimate price by losing their life. In the face of this crisis, countries like Jordan have stepped up with courage and compassion, organizing humanitarian airdrops of food and medical supplies, advocating for safe aids access, and reminding the world of our shared responsibility to protect civilians. Jordan's leadership is a powerful example of what it means to act when lives are on the line, to turn empathy into action. And here I would like to thank Italy and all those other countries who have also supported this effort. Globally, approximately 735 million people go to bed hungry each night, even as 1.3 billion tons of food are lost or wasted every year. Hunger today is not due to lack of food, but a lack of access. Economic inequality forces families to choose between food and other essentials, while women and marginalized communities face the greatest barriers. At the same time, massive food waste across supply chains fuels emissions and squanders precious resources. Reducing this waste is one of the fastest, most effective ways to relieve pressure on food systems and feed more people, without needing to grow more. Yet in the midst of these global challenges, there is also a surge of hope. And as His Majesty, King of Lesotho, had said, this year is the Jubilee Year of Hope. Communities are organizing, youth are innovating, farmers are adapting, indigenous people and local communities are reclaiming their food sovereignty. Governments and institutions are beginning to align, and here at the World Food Forum, we are creating space, not just to talk, but to act. I would like to remind ourselves that hope is not passive, it demands work. Over the past few days, this forum has hosted voices from every corner of the globe. Heads of state and community leaders, scientists and startups with innovations that defy expectations, from AI-assisted agriculture to nature-based solutions rooted in centuries of indigenous wisdom, such as, and I'm very proud to say, one of the 4 new UN Decade on Ecological Restoration flagships from Jordan's Royal Botanic Garden, the Collaborative Rangeland Restoration Program, where we achieved the 4 Bs and many of the SDGs, including SDG 13, Climate Action, 15, Life on Land, and 2, Zero Hunger. At the World Food Forum, we also see youth challenge conventions and offer alternatives. And above all, the networking and the mingling is where the opportunities lie, because the solutions we seek are not in one room, not in one country, not in one discipline. They are in all of us. In conclusion, allow me to reiterate an expression that Dan Lamb from the Arbor Foundation mentioned in yesterday's first International Green Cities Conference. It's not about the splash, but rather the ripple effect that we can travel far beyond the pole. Your Majesties, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we must act with unprecedented urgency and unity. Let me